What's up guys, welcome back to Punting for the People. Today is Wednesday. I have to take this trash, which I could put in my regular trash can here if I was in Australia, and obviously follow in Germany's very environmental footstep. So I'm about to walk about 2 kilometers down the road and back, take this to the cardboard bin, and then we're going to start this video about living in Germany and my German apartment. So let's go. So I just had two really funny things happen on my way down here. This is the bins where we put all of our cardboard and our glass as well. I actually walked past one of my old work colleagues who is also a dear friend. So if you're watching this, hi Daniel, I just saw you, you're gonna see this. And also this young couple in a Persia, I don't know whether they knew who I was or whether they didn't want to get into the shot and ruin it, or they just thought I looked weird because I'm wearing bright green pants and slides, but they kind of like stopped next to me and looked at me and started laughing, and I just kind of didn't know what to do, so I just sat there and kind of smiled and waved back. So if you are viewers of my channel, leave a comment if it was you guys. If it wasn't viewers, then I guess I just looked weird or they were having fun making fun of me, but either way, it was kind of interesting and cool. So one of the big parts about living in Germany is of course taking care of the environment. Germany is huge on environmental protection. I've talked about this many times in my videos, and this is just one way to do it. We came down here for my How to Annoy Germans video because obviously we talked about recycling the glass, and also my How Germany Has Changed Me in video we talked about recycling and compost as well. And there are a couple of important parts about recycling the cardboard up here, which I'll talk about through the video, being nice to the environment. The second has more of a point to do with this video in terms of living in Germany in a German apartment, and we'll talk about that when we get back to the apartment. So we are back now. For those of you who don't know, this is my apartment building, and this is where I live in Germany. So we've got to head back inside so I can continue the video, but I thought before I head back in, I'd pick one more cherry off the tree. They're starting to get really dark, but I think some of these ones are starting to come out of season, so they're starting to die a little bit. I put some berries or plants or fruits earlier in the video. They look a little bit like grapes. I don't know what they are, as most of you guys seem to be really good with German fruits and nuts and everything. Let me know what they are. You've told me about the cherries, you've told me about the walnuts, so let me know what that is. They're up near the bus stop. I might see if I can pick one of those off if they're safe. So as I've gone to go inside, I've looked around and seen a little kitty. Hello, hi, hey, look. Oh. It's not all the time that animals don't want to get pats from me, but I think maybe the sound of my bag scared her a little bit. But it was still nice to see an animal on my walk, I will say. So obviously by the title of this video, it's called Life in Germany, My German Apartment. Obviously I wanted to talk to you guys about how I live here in Germany, what I do, what the apartment's like, because I never really have given you guys a real tour of my apartment until the last video with the bat coming and paying a visit. But I haven't really shown you around the apartment and given you details about what it's like to live here, what the differences are, and what I found weird or what I find works better or not as good, and just the overall feel of living in a German apartment. I live here in Hildesheim in Germany. It's in Niedersachsen. I think overall, everywhere outside of Bavaria is generally cheap inside of Germany. There are places that are more expensive, obviously capital cities and that kind of thing. But in the big scheme of things, Hildesheim is fairly cheap. Dresden as well was pretty cheap. First off, I'm gonna show you around the apartment and show you what we kind of get. When I was here last year and playing for the Invaders in the season, it was covered. I was being housed here, but since I started working in November, December, me and Marianne had moved the lease over into our name. So this is actually our apartment now, or has been for the last 6-7 months. We're gonna get going with a bit of a tour of the apartment, and then we're gonna talk about some of the pros, cons, and differences, and all of that stuff. So let's go. So the first place I'll show you is where I obviously film. There's the window here behind me. That is where I sit and film all of my stuff, just here in front of this window. Because if I turn around and show you, this is obviously the back wall where all of my jerseys and everything are. On this wall, which is the other, we've got some photos just of me and Marianne from all of our travels. This is from when we went to Prague in 2017. This is a shot from Dresden. To the other side above the TV, we've got shots of us in Australia with my mum when we went to Australia Zoo. That's at the Sunshine Coast in Australia. That was Christmas in Australia when Marianne came to visit. Disneyland Paris. That one there was in Hamburg, and then obviously the big Brisbane mural that Marianne got a photo in front of. And then obviously on the other side we have football, so we have my jerseys and that kind of stuff. And of course, for those of you who have been following me for a while, Marianne's very, very famous popcorn machine. So many people were commenting, being like, you guys have got a popcorn machine in your apartment? And I'm like, yeah, I'm a good boyfriend. Marianne got this as a gift. So when you see that in the back of me filming, that is Marianne's own personal popcorn machine. But this is our lounge room. It's not hugely big. This is the area where we sit. This is the couch. This is where I do most of my editing. I sit on the couch and listen to music or edit or just stare out the window while I'm doing that. This side, we've got our TV and our German air conditioning. By German air conditioning, I mean a fan, because nowhere in Germany has air conditioning. This is where we spend the majority of our time, whether it be watching TV, whether it be me editing, playing games, Marianne being on the computer, outside of sleeping, preparing food. Generally, it's done in the living room. I'm going to go to the front door. So this is our front door as you walk into the apartment. To my right, we have the bathroom. And now this room is our spare room, because we do live in, technically, I'd say it's a 3-bedroom. That's what we would call it in Australia. But this is our spare room. We have our full-size fridge and freezer in here, which I'll talk about in a second. All of our warm stuff here next to the fridge. I'll open the fridge so you can have a little bit of a look. We've got eggs, we've got tea, we've got milk, a couple sauces, some yogurt, white foods if we're too busy for making something, cheese, my veggie burgers, and a lot of vegetables in the bottom. It's kind of empty at the moment because we shop on Friday afternoons after Marianne finishes work. So we're nearly towards the end of our week of eating. And this is just kind of our everyday room. We've got obviously our fridge and freezer in here. We also have our toaster and our microwave and the oven. Keep a lot of clothes, and when it's too windy or rainy outside, we dry our laundry in here too. But if you walk out to the back of the spare room, you have the little terrace or balcony behind me, which you guys have seen in a couple of my videos because I've been out there filming. Straight through from the spare room is our bathroom. Our bathroom's not very fancy. We have to fix this light for obvious reasons, but there is something that I do want to show. The one thing that kind of bugs me, and is probably a con about most of the places I've been and live in Germany, is this. This is our shower head at its highest point. I, of course, am 6'3", nearly 6'4". So this happens quite a lot in Europe for me. In Australia, it's not as big a deal. Most places are a little bit, I guess, height gifted friendly, but that is one thing. The shower is quite small and the bathroom is quite small. So when I do bathe and have to get out and dry myself and all that kind of stuff, it is a little bit tight. Yet again, the hallway light, I have to dodge around that. First world problem. Speaking of being tight, I'm gonna walk you into the kitchen now, which is in the front right of our place. The kitchen is not very big. This is me up against the wall, and I can grab or touch the other side, or where all the other stuff is sitting. This is normally where the fridge would go. That's about the normal size of a German fridge. And there is no dishwasher. There also is no oven in here. We're lucky Marianne had her oven from Dresden. She brought that over here. One of the other cons that I will talk about has got to do with what I was doing earlier with taking the cardboard to the bin. Germany's rubbish system is unbelievably great. Do not get me wrong. I love how much you separate your trash and make sure everything's in the right spot. But when you're in an apartment like this and you don't have your own bins, like in Australia we have giant wheelie bins to put all of our trash. When you live in an apartment this small, you have to separate compost and cardboard and all that stuff. That's our cardboard section. This is our regular section. We also keep our paper there as well. We then get all that glasses and fun that sits under here. It takes up a lot of space, especially the yellow bags. The yellow bags are currently getting picked up 2 times a month. The yellow bags get filled up pretty quick. We store them underneath our house because we have a storage unit. But if you were just in a small little apartment, like if we went in a 3 big bedroom place like this, it would be a bit of a pain to have to keep these yellow bags inside the apartment if you didn't have the storage for 2 weeks, because putting them outside as soon as they're full and leaving them there isn't a good thing. So that is one con that I will say about the German rubbish system, is the storage inside the apartments isn't really built to handle the amount of separation you have to keep between your trash. We were in here the other day and we talked about the bat, so we can walk around the back corner of the bedroom. You can see here is our bed. That is the entrance. This luckily is very, very low, but it's over the bed, so I don't have to worry about hitting my head on it. Our bedroom is pretty plain because of the fact that most of the stuff that we do is in the lounge room. There are a couple windows to let in some light, and that is something that German houses or apartments generally do really well. There's nothing that's unnecessary. There's nothing that's really not needed. It's fairly efficient. Now, some of the pros and cons of the apartment in Germany. So here in Germany, you pay per month for your apartment. To give you an idea, in Australia, the last place I lived where I did rent because I was living with my parents for a little bit was a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment. That was costing me, with no extra bills, so no power, no water, no nothing, just the rent of the apartment, was 415 Australian dollars a week, so around 1,200 euros a month just for the apartment. Here, this apartment for us, I think off the top of my head, it's per month. There's cold and then there's Nebenkosten. Nebenkosten is stuff like power and water and that kind of stuff. So cold, I think this place is 460 euros a month. The cost of living here is a little cheaper on paper, and the average wage in Australia, I think minimum wage in Australia is a touch under 40,000. It's way cheaper, but obviously the wages here are lower. Another pro here is the internet. We pay around 20 euros a month, I think, for our internet, and it is unbelievably fast, like quadruple anything I got in Australia. Another thing that a lot of people talk about, but I never really have had a problem with, is people talk about the water quality of where you're living. Water quality in Germany in houses is quite good. Same as in Australia, the water is quite hard. It's a preference for most places, the water has to be hard. Marianne drinks a lot of water out of the tap, and she always kind of asks the question about the water quality where we're going if we're going traveling. So that's something that's a bit of a pro for living here. One of the cons that I will talk about in Germany is, obviously, you hear it all the time with tourists here in Germany, but the ventilation. The German windows, I think, are great. They're very well engineered. You can close them, you can tilt them to let some air in, and you can open them, but there are no fly screens. The problem with that is, unless you want to fully open your windows and let everything in, it's kind of warm. It can get warm in here. We obviously have the fan going, and I understand Germany over the years has been getting hotter and hotter, and it's never really been designed, or the houses and apartments here have never really been designed to withstand incredible heat. They've been designed to withstand incredible cold, because obviously Germany generally has been a colder climate in the winter months and not so warm in summer. So I understand, don't get mad at me for saying that Germans don't know how to build their houses to keep out the heat, because it hasn't been a problem in past generations. But that is one thing that, as the middle of summer comes closer, windows just kind of don't cut it, and I always just think to myself, man, it'd be great to have better ventilation. Overall, I think living in Germany is amazing. If you ever consider moving to Germany or having a little bit of a gap year or something like that, I definitely would recommend it. I've learned so much being here about the way things are in Germany and the way things could be in other countries that I now implement in my everyday life that I never did before. It's a huge benefit being here and experiencing the culture like I have. But taking all that into account, cost, comfort, all of the above, Germany is an amazing place to live, and the German apartments are great. They've got everything you need. They are great. They're warm when they need to be warm, and they're cool when they need to be cool. most of the time. But guys, that is it. I hope you enjoyed this video about living in Germany, my little German apartment tour, and just the things that I've picked up on in my years here in Germany about living in a German apartment and just the general costs when you live in Germany in an apartment like this. Like I said, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please do consider subscribing as well. I would love to have you join the Punting for the People community here. If you have any questions, just leave them below in the comments. I would love to take the time to read them and answer them. I will put up an announcement on my page and put a little bit of a schedule, but I will be going live sometime in the next week to do a pure questions and answers or Q&A video with you guys. So that way you guys can sit here with me, engage with me, not only through the camera, but sit here and talk to me live in the flesh or through the computer and ask the questions that you want me to so desperately answer. Other than that, guys, thank you guys so much for watching yet again. My name is Jacob, this is Punting for the People, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.